Hey everyone, welcome back to our Yule Film Fest series. This is the third episode officially on that. Sorry, there's a little bit of delay too. I know I've been trying to get these out monthly and it held up a little bit from my just day job and some other side projects that I've been doing as well. So trying to get back on the ground running with some of these. For today, I want to cover the goals for Yule Film Fest, kind of big picture and little picture of what it is that we're looking for on that. In general too, a little bit of a status check as well. So as we're running through, I do want to let you guys know kind of where we're at for submissions, what we're looking for. So again, Yule Film Fest, in case you're just jumping on for episode 3 for whatever reason on that. It is a 3-day online holiday film festival that we are doing. This year will be our second year for 2021. Day 1, so worth noting, day 1 is going to be the 19th. It's a Sunday, and that's going to be just a warm-up kind of intro. So it's going to be free. It's going to have all the content from last year's, which was our inaugural year. It had a really good turnout, so we want to replay that Sunday with a little bit of new content. And then Monday, Tuesday, carrying through the 21st, we're going to have our actual 2021 competition series. So with that, in terms of where we stand on submissions for 2021, those are going very well. So our submissions in our first year, just full transparency, because that's kind of my goal with Yule Film Fest, is to kind of run through where we stand with everything in general. So last year, 2020, our first year, in basically 2 months, there wasn't a lot of time. If you watch our first video, it goes through, there really wasn't a lot of time to get our name out there and get some promotion through Film Freeway, which is where you submit if you're interested in submitting. But in 2 months, we were able to accumulate about 29 films. So it was just under 30 short films. We cut that down. So I think we took about 90% of that for a 1-day film fest for Yule Film Fest 2020. 1 day probably overkill on content, and that's why we're spreading it out through between 3 days this time around. Where we stand now, it's nice. We're just under 50 submissions, and probably that holiday stretch, October through really like right before Thanksgiving is kind of the popular time that they come in. So our goal ultimately is probably around 75 to 80 would be my guess, like a reasonable guess. Stretch goal would be 100, and that would be great, but that's not really what I'm thinking of. If we are able to get, say, 80, what we would be looking for is probably close to like 50-60% we would take. So it's kind of right in that flesh mode of the most with Yule Film Fest. Really my goal with Yule Film Fest, big picture, is to have it cut down to we're taking about 25% of what comes in. That's big picture. That's not going to happen for a good while, I'm sure. So we're lucky to be where we're at. I mean, if we are able to split it that way for 50-60% of the submissions that come in, that is a win for us in terms of getting the actual support from filmmakers, short filmmakers on that. And then even in general, it's nice because I don't want it to be this ridiculous competition. I myself, an independent filmmaker, and I know it sucks when you submit to something where they have like tens of thousands of submissions and it's all short film content. So probably low odds someone's even watching your film fully and running through, and it's just very frustrating. My goal with Yule Film Fest, big picture, is to never be that way. On the short picture, it's not that way, and it won't be this year either, just because we have low enough amount of short films that they are coming through for all of us to actually watch and review, or judges to be able to go through that, and then I act as selection judge. So again, as they're coming through, I've been lucky because I've been able to run through and actually pick away at the volume that we have on submissions on that. So a lot of you should be seeing those. Hopefully some of you, if you're following these videos, have seen them as well, because it is something that has been coming through. We've been whittling down on a good number of the submissions selected now for Yule Film Fest 2021. Beyond that, that is kind of where we stand now. For some transparency on what we look for between last year and this year, moving forward to one of our big goals that I've been lightly flirting on is finding sponsors and sponsorships on that. So I would love to have actual sponsors to really fund Yule Film Fest fully. So some of it does come out of my pocket, some of it comes from submissions on there, to the point that it's really not a profitable event that way. It's the type of thing that it's a passionate project for me. I always wanted to make a film festival, and I worked with a couple of venues around the Hartford, Connecticut area, which is where I'm from, trying to connect a live in-person event, and then COVID came and kind of kicked that to the curb as that was starting to build up. So I am lucky to be able to do this online and make Yule Film Fest what it is. We definitely appreciate the support that way too. But a big picture, we do want a handful of sponsors, nothing crazy, but we want enough where specifically we can make the prizes better. Right now, we have an excellent trophy that comes from Mark Parris, is designed that way, and then Solinda Keth Design helps produce and generate those as well. Also made this shirt. If you want a Plant Daddy shirt, you can check that out, the link below as well. But outside of that, it's really just not a whole lot there. So there's a little bit outside of the trophy, like a note. So I try to add a little bit of personalization to that, just to let people know how much I appreciate, and we appreciate their film, and I try to encourage them to really keep submitting to other film festivals too. And then outside of that, I really want to be able to benefit our judges better. It is a heavy effort, and I know we've touched on this in episode 2, I believe, of the Yule Film Fest series. We'll touch on it a little bit later on too, as we creep closer to the actual festival and start to get to know some of our judges better. But it is a true effort to watch probably hours and hours worth of content. You know, last year, in our first year, it was, I think, 3.5 hours worth of short films that they had to go through and judge all of that. So you have to pay attention as you're going through. It's not just like viewership, you're scoring. We have score sheet that we touched on, and that'll be another series. But in general, it's an effort where I really want to be able to reward judges better than we do. So big goal would be having sponsorships on that. I think I would love to have, maybe 5 years from now, I would love to have like 100 to 150 submissions for Yule Film Fest. And that's kind of like the sweet spot of what I am looking for. I'm not looking for anything exceeding that. I don't want probably more than 250, because it does, I know I mentioned it again, but it does really drag out when you're one of 500, 1,000, 5,000 submissions. And you'd never know where it's going if anyone's even watching it. So I appreciate you guys checking us out. Keep your eyes, and I will try to be more consistent in our next video for the Yule Film Fest series. And that is where we are at, big picture, little picture on that. So check us out. We do have a website, yulefilmfest.com. You can also, if you want to make a submission, it's on Film Freeway, which we'll have the link below as well. And then outside of that, we actually play on BingeWave, which is a great platform to check out. So appreciate you guys, and thank you.